Good morning, friends. Welcome to our weekly read and discuss session. Today, we are reading the book Drawing Solutions: How Visual Goal Setting Will Change Your Life. And this book is by Patty Dobrowolski. We are on page 18. Shift into a positive frame of mind. While you, while your imagination is the springboard of for ideas, you will also need a positive, non-critical environment that allows you to gain the most benefit from what you imagine. A positive and negative belief affect every part of our body and our life. To dream about your desired new reality, you must first put yourself into an open state of mind and will give you an unlimited playing field in which to draw up the new you. You want to imagine and envision the best case scenario for achieving whatever you desire. To think and act creatively and get the full benefit of your imagination, you will have to be willing to create and absorb information non-judgmentally. You can develop and expand your ability to brainstorm through what is called your absorbed brain set. That's part of your brain that helps you take an externally or internally generated ideas or information with an uncritical eye. One way to up your creative genius when you find yourself staring to get critical is to simply become more curious. Another way to clear your head and prepare yourself to step into new thinking in a positive way is to do something out of ordinary or even slightly uncomfortable. When you encounter something unfamiliar or new, you interrupt the movement of thoughts as they travel along the accused neural pathway. This is something you may have experienced when you travel to an unfamiliar place. Suddenly, you are aware of yourself in a way that is dramatically different from your usual sense of self. This is a shift. This shift is a key when you are trying to expand your brainwaves and generate breakthrough ideas. You also want to take the time to consciously set a positive intent about what you are about to experience, as it will result in your having a better outcome. When you do, what you do to create an environment that helps you shift to a positive state of mind will be unique to you. To experiment with a few of these ideas. A simple change you can make is to turn off electronic devices such as TV, radio, computer, and of course your phone. Then become more aware of your surroundings. Listen to the sounds around you. Notice the color of the room or the texture of the chair you are sitting in. Do a few jumping jacks or run around to work up a sweat. Shift shift where you are sitting to another part of your office or house. Finally, before you begin, shut your eyes for a minute to remove external stimulation and remind yourself that you are about to walk into this next experience with openness and curiosity. Closing your eyes helps your brain prepare. It organizes what you already know from the past and reorders it to help focus on what you are about to do, like reshuffling the card deck of your experiences. Um, when daydreams and plans get together. Many years ago, I just started my career as a drama therapist and working on my business plan. I had raked up quite a bit of debt in graduate school and was eager to start my business. So I asked my friend Michael to help me set some goals around manifesting money. He had success. He had a successful sales career and was skilled at achieving financial goals. He was the perfect person to teach me how to create my own goal setting plan. I remember our meeting as if this happened yesterday. It, it was a typical beautiful sunny day in Northern California. As we sat on my patio, he asked, "So, Patty, how much money do you want to make next year? Write it down on a piece of paper." He pushed a piece of paper towards me. This is completely freaked me out. I was immediately worried about what he would think of me if I told him a number that is too high or too low. I was still so limited in what I thought I could manifest that I wrote down 10,000, thinking to myself that seems possible. He looked at the number and then at me and said, "What would happen if you decide you wanted to make four times that amount?" He reached over and changed my 10K to 40K. My jaw dropped. How would that ever be possible? A new graduate. The most I could hope for was some kind of entry level work in my field. I remember laughing a little nervous laugh and saying, "Oh, okay, if you say so." And then, with the utmost confidence, said, "Now I'm going to show you how to do it." By using my calendar and asking me a series of questions, he began to write down how many clients or jobs I would need to meet my goal. He helped me identify how many jobs I would have to do per month, how much money I thought I could charge per job, and then how many jobs I would need to do per week. And just like that, after only an hour, I had a plan. He gently and firmly walked me through those steps, the simple basic steps, and though I had no idea how I would actually do what he supposed, I was struck by the fact that he believed I could do it. And before long, so did I. I'll stop here. Do you want to go next, Julie?
Okay, page 20. In the following months, I followed through with my plan, faithfully calculating the number of jobs I needed to reach my goal. I was excited and confident. I knew exactly what I needed to do in order to reach my financial goals. So I diligently worked each step to make them real. 1 year later, my total income was 38,500, almost exactly 4 times what I first imagined possible on that bright sunny day. By the end of the year, I was a true believer in setting simple, actionable steps. Thank you, Michael. In addition to assessing where you are now and allowing yourself to dream about what you would like to see happen, you must ground your snapshot with a clear action plan that will help keep you pointed in the right direction and give you a way to measure and celebrate your progress. A plan also keeps us aware of the fact that most of the time it takes slow, determined action to move us away from people and situations that don't feel right. This is important to remember, as we all have a tendency to want change to happen instantaneously. Once we realize we're done with our current situation and are ready to move on, there is often a bit of lag time before the desired new reality becomes apparent. During this pause, one of the two things may happen. We can make abrupt, sometimes ill-advised changes to satisfy the need to do something different, or we can become so overwhelmed by the enormity of the tasks before us. Well, it seems easier to put up with things as they are. The tendency to avoid change at the start of a new venture happens a lot. A study showed that even when faced with a life or death situations that are required to survive, the odds that the person will actually embrace the needed change were 9 to 1. Only 1 out of 10 people will actually make that change. 1 out of 10. Who is that person who actually integrates the information that clearly indicates big changes are needed and then take action? According to that same study, it is someone who both believes and expects that they can make the necessary changes. When we hear stories of prison inmates who left jail to lead productive lives, heart attack survivors who completely changed their lifestyle and diet, or people who confronted and recovered from huge emotional losses with effective therapy and support groups, the underlying keys to their success were belief and expectation. While these are key critical components, I will add that belief and expectation are the direct result of our ability to conjure an image of that change we desire, record it in our mind's eye, and to create a plan to bring it into being. It's one thing to say we want to change, to know that we should change, but it's something else to actually be able to picture ourselves doing everything needed to get there. Creating a picture in your mind enhances your beliefs and expectations because the imagery process reroutes the brain so it works in a new way. And this in turn reveals the steps you need to take a dig in and get your hands dirty. A number of consultants I know work for firms that require them to work many more hours each week than I do. They also have shorter vacations and spend many more days traveling around the world to work. Collaborators often said to me, I want your life. What he means is, I want to be able to go biking or hiking whenever I feel like it. I remind him that he can have my life. He just need to reorganize his workload, get an assistant to handle the mundane tasks, and convince his boss that a balance between work and personal time results in a more creative solutions. The truth is that even if he were to make these suggestions, if he doesn't really believe his boss will go for it, or that he could make enough money if he cut back on the working hours, it is likely that he'll stay where he is. In short, if he cannot imagine it happening, he will continue to be frustrated by the demands of his work, longing for more free time and unable to envision or expect anything else to happen. Your ability to create a new reality for yourself is completely dependent on two things: your desire for change and your belief in your ability to make changes happen. When these two things are stronger than your belief that you cannot change, movement begins. Okay, I'll stop here.
Okay.
Belief and desire give birth to the expectations that feed your dream. And all these spring to life in your imagination. Envisioning what you want and using the snapshot mapping process to create a visual depiction of your goals will set all of this in motion. For this reason, it is important to do each step of the mapping process described in the next part of this book. By using your brain in a new way, you begin to see things differently, which allows new solutions to emerge. Adding to your picture of success. If your daydreaming results in some surprises, you may need to do a bit of work to match your visions with a clear picture of what is involved. Information gathering will help you do this. For example, if you think that your perfect job would be as a web designer or some other work that requires hours and hours of computer time, and you have never actually spent weeks sitting and staring at a computer, you might need to adjust your goals. And if you are also an extrovert who loves being in front of a room of people, well, you might need to make some adjustments to bring everything into alignment before you set a plan in motion to launch a new career as a web designer. Interview a few people who live the life you imagine to find out the pros and cons. In other words, the more information you have about what your life would look like when you succeed in your goal, the better. What you don't want to do is dedicate your vision and intention toward creating a life that isn't what you really wanted. When I first saw a strategic illustrator draw a real-time picture on a big piece of butcher paper in a business planning meeting, something clicked inside. I knew this was something I could do and that I wanted to explore. But before I made any kind of commitment to walk down this path, I needed to try it out to see if I liked it. And even though I thought I might be able to do it, I wanted to be certain. So how did I go about it? First, I looked for an opportunity to do strategic illustrating in a real meeting. I emailed every consultant I knew until I found someone willing to give me a chance to try my hand at capturing, in words and images, one of their sessions. My friend Trudy was going to facilitate a meeting with a group of churches working to find common ground for future projects. She asked me to scribe or capture what was being discussed in the meeting. She thought I would be simply using colored pens and a flip chart to keep track of the words and ideas from the group discussion. I had something a bit more intricate in mind. I was planning to draw little pictures in the margins as I'd seen the strategic illustrator do at the meeting that inspired me. When I started scribing the meeting notes, something surprising happened. I began to draw pictures of the participants and their ideas, and interspersed with the pictures were the words they were using. It was so much fun I lost myself. My images were fairly basic, but the final notes looked cool and the group loved it. In fact, their first shared group experience was their unanimous appreciation of the strange, colorful graphics I had created. They all agreed that they loved my notes, even though they found that they had opposing views on just about everything else. This experience made it real for me. It showed me that I could draw the kinds of pictures that the strategic illustrator had used, as basic and archaic as my images might have been, and people appreciated and found value in seeing their words portrayed graphically. I realized that I had discovered something that might provide me with an interesting, creative, and financially viable career. Trudy thought my illustrations were a great addition to her facilitation, and she continued to hire me whenever she could. In the meantime, I expanded my drawing skills by interning for an advanced graphic recorder slash strategic illustrator. I also kept my day job as a drama therapist until I felt I had enough work to do, graphic recording and consulting full time. A year later, I moved to Colorado to join forces with another graphic recorder and started a new career that just a short time before had only existed on the desired new realities side of my personal map. To get there, I had to let myself imagine what was possible, even though I had no idea how to make it all happen, and then take specific steps to find out what it would look and feel like to actually manifest my desires. My research confirmed that this was the job for me, and then everything else unfolded, leading me to my goal. All right, I'll stop here.
To discuss this one. Actually, I think the author is focusing more on visualization. I think that's key part of uh, imagining or setting correct path. One thing I liked about it is he talks about the two things that are required. For example, is one is the desire to change and your belief in your ability to make the change. Sometimes I think I have kind of even my manager also tells me that if uh, you have to imagine that you know you have achieved something. Like for example, uh, sometimes we do the work like as like okay, this is something work that is given to me and I have to do it. But a lot of time we don't find the pleasure or don't try to get the pleasure out of work. We're not trying to like we do the work as if it's like some kind of task that is given to us and we have to complete it, rather than finding some kind of joy in the work and having this enthusiasm and curiosity. So in different contexts, but there are kind of often I'm hearing these being curious, imagining, visualizing, uh, and then thinking uh, you know the directly the end goal. So I think most like I haven't not tried it, but it's very hard to get that concept in the brain. Uh, uh, you know, um, yeah. If I want to do something, okay, let's say for example cricket. I want to play really nice. Even if I try to imagine, I cannot imagine for more than a minute or something. You know, it's. I think this process needs to be a reoccurring process every night, let's say, or something that you want to do something. It should you should get that belief, that hallucination. Oh, I'm getting this. I'm there, and all those things. Maybe I may be wrong, but this is what I think and what a lot of people are trying to see. If you get this or if you get that feeling, or if you have that belief, both like feeling or belief, then you will end up where you want to be. So yeah, that's and one strange thing I observed, like I wanted to meet one person for quite a while, and just like on Sunday, I stumbled upon that person in Costco. So I mean, just yeah, I don't know like how this is it just a coincidence or this is like that time I was telling you, right? It never occurs to me, but now if I try to notice it, I probably uh, kind of connect the dots, kind of thing. If something happens, so yeah. Similarly, I don't know. I should keep track of these things so that sometime I'll can correlate or have enough data points so that I can reassure myself or kind of believe. So yeah, that's from my side. You want to go next, Julie?
Yeah, yeah. When I was reading, I actually have two people. I have this three people action group where we talk about, where we are, where we want to get to, and then we get suggestions from each other, right? The three of us. One person is the presenter and receiver of suggestions, and two people provide suggestions. They both of them turn to be artists. One is a filmmaker, and the other one is just wrote a script. They both write film scripts, and then a musician. I think I've kind of mentioned him. And they both have two scripts, and it was interesting. In their budgets, they don't pay themselves.
Oh,
So they said, well, yeah, the movie will be a big success, but I'll probably make nothing out of it.
oh.
Exactly. So it was good for me, who is not an artist there. I said, well, first of all, you have to pay yourself, you know. And then so they don't pay themselves for making the film, and they don't pay themselves for writing the script. So they came when I suggested that. The woman that we were working with, she thought she could make $100,000 from the film to get paid. The budget was $700,000, but still there was no valuation for her in that project for the script she wrote. So reading this today kind of inspired me to say to her, you know, you can even double your budget. Right now her budget's like 700,000. Maybe a nice $1 million number. A better budget for her, you know. For myself, yeah, I need to think that through. I started thinking about exercise, that I need to do more exercise. That's what came up yet, but more like I can do more exercise. And I can lose weight. I gained back like 4 pounds of the weight I lost. So I need to lose again and lose more. And two, I want to say two things. One is, sometimes reality gives you inspirations. Like before I heard you, when I heard you said you were playing 2 hours of cricket, I'm like, wow, how wonderful. You get physical exercise, you get cardiovascular, you're out in the open, and you get to be with friends. You know, that's like, it wasn't even in your field of imagination, but that happened. And in psychology, Jung, Y-U-N-G, he talks about, before Jung, there was Freud. So Jung follows Freud. So Jung talks about this thing called the collective. I've heard mostly as collective unconscious, but lately I've heard it as collective consciousness. And what he says is like all human beings share, or all intelligence or whatever, share this pool of sentience, intelligence, knowledge, you know. And that when you set an intention, it ripples out to the whole pool of collective consciousness and unconsciousness. And then things like the people you meet at Costco happens, and he calls that synchronicity.
Synchronicity, okay.
S-Y-N-C, yeah, synchronicity. So I think maybe that you might find that idea interesting. For myself this week, we will do commitments later. So that's what I have to share, is that I need to know that I can do it and believe it more. I think that's for weight loss and for exercise. So that's all I have. Thank you, Atu and Wendy.
Sandy?
Well, it's kind of the same for me. Two things I took out of this is, for me, I just need to stay positive, period. You know, some of my aides in particular, including the one I have now, tend to look at me and it's like they're too focused on the wheelchair. I'm in a wheelchair, and they think because of that I'm limited as to what, well, yeah, my legs don't work, but they think I'm limited in other ways as well. And I just have to stay positive. That's the first thing. And then the second thing, and I kind of go through this with like my therapy that I just finished a couple of weeks ago. It's like I want it, or when I'm working on something, it's like I want it done over with now, and I just have to learn to be a little more patient and don't rush. Sometimes that's hard. I get too impatient. I want things done now.
Mm-hmm.
I want to reach my goal now, and sometimes it just can't happen. I gotta learn not to rush things. That's it.
Very true. I think I was also that kind of person where I had very less patience, but somehow over the period of time, I became a kind of very patient person. Sometimes I really think it's maybe kids and all play some kind of part trying to
Yeah.
make you patient. Sometimes you are very angry, but you know that it's your kid. You can't do anything much about it. You just let it go. And
Beautiful.
so I think we can. So for commitments, for me this week, yes, I'll continue to go to gym. So that's my number one for this. Good that I'm playing cricket, so I'm really feeling a little bit fit and also towards my goal of active physical life. So that's that. I'm reading some bunch of articles on and off. Recently, uh, there is this Farman Street or something, that's some blog which is really good. So I kind of just reading on and off, but yeah. So uh, those two things, and third is I'm like working with my kid to get him like interested in chess. I'm teaching him chess on and off, but it probably will take some time. But yeah, started doing that. So that's from my side. You have to go next, Julie.
Yeah, I'm going to go on Zillow and look for rentals and condos.
Hmm.
I'm going to continue to work on my book. I spent 10 hours on my book last week, which is great.
Nice.
Yeah, I probably, setting the goal here helped. And then I'm going to work on believing that I can lose weight and exercise. So I'm going to work on that belief with diet and exercise, and I will do some kind of drawing to share with you guys. Those are my 4.
You want to go next, Wendy?
Okay. Well, for me, it's the usual. Keep up with my exercise. Go to yoga. Make sure I get to yoga. And my reading, and research. That's it.
Great.
All right. Cool. We ended up a little early, but okay.
That's good. So we're on page 24, right? Success measures. Is that right? Okay. I got it wrong. Success measures. Great.
Awesome.
Nice to talk to you.
Yes, same here. Likewise. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Wendy.
And as I said to my aide yesterday, next time I talk to you, I'll be a year older.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Tomorrow. It's tomorrow.
Nice. Happy birthday in advance.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy birthday, Wendy.
What's the plan? Somebody.
I don't know yet. I haven't heard from my sister.
Okay.
I have to hear from my sister.
Nice.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Have fun.
Okay. I'm going to stop the broadcast. I have something to say after that.